best of ones. It's not the first time where they've struggled, so no surprises here, but let's get into it.
Let's get into the game. Super Valiant Gaming up against Anubis. One, champions from years on years. The other, a team seeing themselves at the Crossfire Stars Grand Final for the very first time. The winner of this game goes up against Black Dragons, the 2018 champions, in a semi-final in Shanghai.
Well, on to Subbase, and it's been a long time since we saw a Subbase. In fact, I think we've only actually seen it on day one when it was the mandatory pick for the group stages. Black Widow the second map, and then Ankara the third. And I think if we do get to Ankara, Anubis have said in the past that they're not too bad on that map. So maybe there'll be something interesting for us there if Anubis can pick up one of these first two. But Subbase, certainly going to be a difficult task, particularly with SV starting on the defense here.
Looking at this map pool as well, I'm actually surprised it went somewhat in Anubis' favor. They've said in the past they like to play close quarters maps, and the two far-range dual maps have been taken out. No port, no compound, I think is probably the best case scenario they might have to take a series off of SV, but still, when you're going up against former world champions here themselves on SV, you've got to have nothing but perfection here. And it's going to be a rude awakening to start things off for Monkey as he immediately goes down to the fire there from Yazi.
That really sets the tempo for this one, doesn't it? Anubis, they're going to have to sort of pop their heads up and think, all right, let's put our, best foot forward in this matchup, because that's what it's going to take to beat Super Valiant. And in fact, maybe even for Anubis, their best foot forward isn't going to be enough to beat Super Valiant. We will see. We'll go on that journey together as we find out. And Super Valiant do lose a player. It does bring it back to a 4v4. It was double Q that dropped. But so far, Anubis not probing too hard. They're leaning a little bit more toward the B side of the map than anything else. But Snare is still hanging around on A, trying to cause some problems. Yazi will be challenged once again, and that may not be the smartest of decisions from Anubis. Yazi just gets two, sliding behind the box. And Anubis, that might well be the death sentence in this round for them.
It's definitely looking that way, especially as time ticks down here. Only 20 seconds to get this bomb planted, and they have absolutely no control over either site. And they're almost just running down the clock here with no real answers. Yazi's still behind the box, peeks out, gets the quad kill. An ace potentially, but Snare's nowhere in sight here, just trying to find any sort of opening to work with. N9 just seals the deal there, but just an unfortunate way to get things started for Anubis. Yazi, though, he did complain leading into this match about having some trouble with recoil control, but didn't seem to have much trouble there.
No, I mean, I suppose you don't need too much recoil control when most of your shots are first shot headshots. So there may have been something like that involved as well, I think, there for old Yazi. But either way, a very good start for him. A nice confidence builder in this quarterfinal. Emzen has suffered a bit of damage early on in this round. I was going to ask you, before that round really started to pick up, what do you think the implications of Super Valiant losing this match would be? I know that they are a super solid roster, but if they fail to make semi-finals, surely that could be the last we see of Super Valiant in this iteration.
It could definitely be the end of the team, at least as it sits currently. I think you may see some adjustments if they don't at least make it to the finals, even with this lineup. They have very high expectations with these changes coming in, so it would not surprise me. But it also holds a lot of strength for Anubis. If their first event, they somehow make it through to the semifinals, a lot of strength coming out of that region, and potentially a team we could see topple the ranks as they move forward. So right now it is going to be Anubis prepping for the A execution here. Dabaku going to be caught alone behind the boxes. Goes down without much of a fight there either. Emzen taking a lot of damage early on. Leaves a huge opening here. Anubis getting 3 kills on the entry, but Formy is trying to shut this one down. Finds 2 of his own. Yazi sneaks onto the back of the site. Finds 1, and it's going to be a 2-on-2 now. Things starting to look a little bit better for SV in this round. Yazi gets the second kill. And somehow Anubis, they have the 4-on-2 advantage, but they've seemed to let this slip here. Now Monkey, he's going to be left alone.
I mean, where was Monkey in all of this? Now tasked with the 1v2, and Yazi is playing like a man possessed at the moment. And that's who it'll come down to. 6-0 out of the first 2 rounds here for Yazi. And he might look to make it 7-0. Hasn't really missed a beat since starting off on Subbase here for Super Valiant. Monkey's going to have to push to the A-bomb site to collect the C4. Yazi, well aware of that, does check his flank and spots Monkey out by the silo, and that is going to be the end of that. Yazi is just terrorizing Anubis at the moment.
It's beginning to make me wonder if questioning him may have not been the right call here. I mean, he stepped up to the plate here. Not looking the greatest leading into this match, but so far 7 kills in 2 rounds. Nothing to laugh at there. Snare getting the opening, though, doing his work once again, challenging Emzen, and Emzen having some difficulties so far in this match.
That's the second time, actually, that Snare has, in a sense, won the aim duel against Emzen. If you remember last round, he did get the tag and Emzen survived, but Snare didn't suffer any damage for it. So 2 from 2 so far, at least in my book, for Snare. Hasn't really netted anything on the board for Anubis, but a 4v5 is a much better start than what we had in the previous round. And now the next directive, I suppose, for Anubis is that they're going to have to find a way to deal with Yazi.
And they definitely need to do it quick. SV already off to a 2-0 start. And this map generally tends to be very even half by half, so giving either team a comfortable lead to go into that second half could be very fatal moving forward. So Snare, he's going to be moving over towards this B-bomb site now to try and maybe even challenge Yazi himself here. He has been feeling comfortable in his shot compared to most of his teammates so far on this map. And he's going to hit the shot, exactly what they needed here to have him open up not once but twice on the round.
That'll be the first death for Yazi in the map, and it might well be the first round in the map that Super Valiant are going to drop. However, and Nine has pushed quite far forward in connector, and Monkey's waiting for him, so it looked like it could well be a master stroke, but he needed to win the aim duel against Monkey, which he didn't have much of a chance to do because his back was turned. And now, returning to the A-bomb site we go for Anubis, which is an interesting choice because it's a long rotate for the majority of their members, and it's already given WQ a chance to sort of even the odds a little bit.
And WQ actually gives up the site control, though. An interesting decision. Has to now fight his way back down in with just 20 seconds. Anubis, they've already snuck 2 players onto the lower bomb site here, Yusuf and Snake. They will get the plan off and the chance to set up around it as well. But it's SV who needs to be careful here. They do have a lurk in Hassam here coming out of the vents, potentially very late on the retake.
Hassam looking for some information, and he'll get it. He just spots WQ as he falls around the corner. For me on the entry here, Snake doing a good job of backing up Yusuf, and WQ can't quite hang on to the spray there. Yusuf gets both of them. A good round on the board for Anubis, a much needed one as well, just to settle the nerves.
Now in round number 4, it's going to be Anubis going for quick control. The control room here, it's going to be Hassam running into some trouble. Emzen, though, taken out once again as the first member of his team to fall. 0-3 for him so far, not looking too great over on the side of SV for him, but the rest of his team definitely stepping it up here in this quarterfinal. Snare finds the pick once again for his team as well, taking down N9 this time. Yazi still up here on the quad boxes outside of B. WQ goes for a little bit of an aggressive peek here over towards A. Has to fall back, though. Cannot connect on these shots just yet. But Anubis, being 2 numbers down in this situation, could have a chance for them to get in. Snake finds the entry here, but it's quickly going to be a trade. 4-on-2 now.
Oh, and Formi's got no idea that Snare's behind him. That is such a backstab. Lovely to see from Anubis, able to completely outplay Super Valiant in this round, but they do still have Yazi to deal with, and not quite prepared to count Yazi out right now because it seems like every shot, every time he clicks his mouse, it's a headshot. Here's another opportunity, and he does take 2 before he falls, but 2 is not enough. It would require 4. So that's a second round on the board for Anubis, and I'm really glad to see that they're going toe-to-toe with Super Valiant right now.
And right now, that deciding factor seems to be Snare, but this time around, Emzen finally shows us the answer that we've been looking for. Takes down Snare. N9 finds one onto Yusuf. Snake able to trade it out, but it's not going to matter. SV just decimate this push over towards the A lobby control. Snake left alone. Finds one onto WQ here, but he gets out with just a sliver of HP to work with here. 10 HP. And a 1-on-3, not looking like a likely situation to come out on top of. He's going to be spotted by Yazi, who takes him down with the Colt in hand, picking up frag number 11. And we're still very early on in this game to be seeing those double digits pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. This man is feeling it at the moment, and that is a scary prospect for Anubis because, quite frankly, he's not really the player that you expect to see it from. You expect to see it from N9 or Emzen or WQ. And if Yazi's being able to pull that kind of a weight that he hasn't really been pulling during the group stages up to the quarterfinals, that leaves a lot left in the tank for Super Valiant that they can fall back on if push comes to shove. So Anubis will have to be wary of that. They'll have to be aware that, you know, this is not the next gear of Super Valiant. There is still another final boss that they'll have to deal with if they start getting on top of this current Super Valiant that we're seeing right now. And even for the moment, it seems like maybe this version of Super Valiant is enough to deal with what Anubis is throwing at them, at least for now. More presence towards B this time, though, from Anubis.
Snare once again looking to be the difference maker here for Anubis, putting his position pretty aggressively over towards the B bomb site, looking for Yazi in the rafters once again. Monkey actually takes about half HP damage there to start off the round. And for me, he's going to be stuck here in rafters, kind of isolated by the positioning from Snare. Snake and Hassam, though, already working their way slowly but surely up towards the A bomb site. But it's going to be WQ looking to get a little aggressive himself here.
WQ's a dangerous man when he does get the ball rolling. And 9 also, you'd have to say the same about. Just keep jumping around the map here, and that's, I think, the issue for Anubis right now. They're not kind of grouped up. They're all over the place trying to find 1v1s and trying to do the damage individually against Super Valiant, and that just does not work. At the end of the day, the individuals on Super Valiant are so solid such that they're able to win them more often than not. Regardless, Snare is on to the A site. Has got the bomb down. And Emzen will make short work of him, so that's another one on the board for Super Valiant. And they really seem to be, I dare I say it, in kind of cruise control at the moment. I just don't feel like Super Valiant is being tested that much right now.
Definitely seems to be the case, especially with a 4-2 lead, and that's with Emzen not really present in this match so far. If he steps up to the plate, along with WQ, who hasn't really been doing a whole lot himself just yet, this could be a much, much worse game for Anubis than it's already been. So we'll see if it continues forward strong for SV, but right now Anubis, they're the team in the hot seat. They have to make some changes. They have to make them quickly here in order to bounce back.
Another little bit of a push coming from WQ as he makes his way up the stairs. Trying to get some info. Playing anti-flash here. Anubis not prepared to challenge him just yet. And again, we're sort of seeing that default setup from Anubis where they do just split across the map and look to find some picks individually. While that has worked occasionally for Snare in particular, doesn't really feel like that's the optimal strategy for the rest of the players who have really struggled to find the frags against some of the Super Valiant players. Hassam taking control of lockers at the very least.
The problem right now for Anubis seems like they're almost a little bit too scared to commit on these pushes and then end up more spread out than they ought to be before they go in for these execution plays. Monkey, though, will be creeping in the vents. Emzen has a hunch, though. Gets spotted, taken down to 47 HP. But unfortunately, no kill for Anubis just yet. They're still going to try and force their way in here over towards the A bomb site, but they do need to be cautious on this one because the rotates are coming through. N9 almost able to take down one. Hits the quick headshot. Make it a triple kill reaction there. Snare and Monkey go down, and he's not even done yet. Snake goes for the challenge. It won't happen. That's 4 kills on the board. Looking for the ace here. He can't find it, but For Me is there to clean it up nicely. But what a round there from N9, continuing forward to dominate this Anubis lineup.
Man, that might have been the best individual play we have seen so far this tournament. I would have loved to have seen N9 get all 5 there because that certainly would have been the round of the tournament. But probably more where that's coming from, I'm sure. N9 has been a little quiet at this event, and for a player that has been the highest rated player 3 years in a row at CFS, you know, you can expect more of that.
Definitely the case. Emzen, though, having a bit of trouble on the boost. Third time up, though, finally gets in the vents there. And he's going to be holding it off. Anubis, this time around, they're not going to be going for that, though. It looks like a 5-man push will be coming towards the A bomb site. WQ This is his chance to hold on, put up a big round for his team here. He's going to have to hold 5 players, though, running down this A staircase. So he definitely needs to be careful. He's had some struggles in the past from this position in CFS 2019 so far. Nice utility usage over the top.
That's a really nice grenade.
Clip, 3 players in the process. Hassam and Yusuf both down to half HP, but Dabaku, he still needs to hold on here.
Might have a little bit of backup there from Emsen, who seems to have rotated into the site as well. He'll just be playing a little bit more by default, but WQ behind his boxes as he always is. Dances around, it's Emsen to find the first as WQ falls, but Emsen is still alive and Emsen is still dangerous. But here's where the real problem arises, and that's apparently with the gun of Snake, who's gotten a triple kill. It really did look like SV had the players in the position to hold that site, but some really nice entries from Snake have netted Anubis control of the bomb site right when they needed it as well, because this was starting to tip over into Super Valiant territory. However, I might have spoken too soon. Maybe we there indeed, as Yazi has found 3, and for me will finish them off. That is a tough one to lose for Super Valiant. Rather for Anubis, but just Super Valiant, like I said, they really seem on the precipice now of just being that dominant team that we've been expecting to see for, I mean, maybe not even the better part of this year, but even last year I never really felt like they got to that level. And maybe they're back.
And honestly, in the quarterfinals here, I think that's been the difference maker for the teams coming out on top, is their ability to convert rounds when they don't have numbers on their side. And SV, historically a team that is very confident in doing so, even if they have 1 or 2 players alive in a 2-on-4, 2-on-5 situation, doesn't seem to matter to them at all, and they're able to turn things around very easily a lot of the time. As we see the defensive setup once again, very familiar here from SV. Dabaku playing the anti-flash on the A stairs, waiting for the support for Emsen from behind. Snake, though, on the hunt for this initial pick here, but it's going to be a very safe setup for SV so far.
Been a very safe half for Super Valiant so far as well. Might well even find themselves a 7-2, which is a very solid scoreline on sub-base, thanks mostly to Yazi, but I mean, Formy and 9, they've put in good performances so far as well. And Anubis have been able to take this area of the map fairly often, but it hasn't seemed to worry Super Valiant too much. It feels like they're kind of reading the play pretty well, with Anubis showing a tendency to make their way back into A, and WQ has at least been good for 1-for-1s, and Emsen's been there as well to back things up. Just don't see enough from Anubis at the moment to make you too scared. Yazi here, though, will be collected by Yusuf, and it does leave a bit of pressure on the shoulders of Formy. Luckily, Emsen's rotated across pretty quickly, and he's able to do some damage as well as M9. And Snare, he's on his own. So Super Valiant, a 3v1. For a 7-2 half, you'd have to think this is going to be a little too easy for them.
Snare at this point hoping for a miracle to make this at least a little bit closer going into that second half, but a 7-2, surely not a map that SV wants to give up at this point as they take it here, 7-2 in the first half. And this could be a pretty rough indicator of how this match might pan out here for Anubis if they can't change things up quickly.
Have to agree, Anubis, a lot of work to do in the second half here. Well, into the second half we go, and there may not be too much of a second half here unless Anubis has something to say about it. Super Valiant are looking utterly dominant, back to fine form. And Anubis could well be making a pretty quick exit here from the quarterfinals if they're not careful.
Hassam trying to stall this push here. Does a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Emsen takes him down, but Snake has found 2 here. And looking for more here. Yazi finally with the answer, though. 3-on-3 for the retake, as the bomb will be planted here. Snare and Yusuf already trying to work their way back in, but it will be a wall of utility stalling this one off so far.
3 versus 3, not a bad setup for Super Valiant. They'll wait for Anubis to make their push and then answer accordingly. Already we do see one of the Anubis players falling. That's Yusuf on the ground. Yazi and Emzen though, tasked with the clutch now as N9 will fall and the push does start to come in earnest from Anubis. But immediately it gets turned to a 2v1 and Yazi will continue where he left off in the first half, finishing that round off in the favor of Super Valiant. Up to 8-2 now, and Super Valiant continue their march to victory.
SV at this point taking it fairly casually with Yazi doing so much work. The rest of his team can sort of sit back and relax and just play cleanup at this point. We'll see if there's any response really from Anubis though. They have a little bit of opportunity left to get this one going here on map number 1, but it could be the position for them where they just have to mentally reset and start preparing themselves for map number 2 here.
I'd say so. Black Widow might not be an easier task for them though. We know the Chinese teams are generally pretty good on that map. And Baisha did sort of dismantle Anubis on it as well yesterday, 10-4 there. So all things point toward a Super Valiant 2-0 if they pick up a clean victory here on sub base, which is what they're doing currently. Another Anubis player drops and all of a sudden Anubis, where has that come from? Yusuf, Snake, Hassan all finding 1 kill apiece. What was a 5v3 now actually becomes much more difficult for Super Valiant.
I think this one just comes down to SV playing a little bit too confident on that one. You had 2 of those 3 players who went down pushing while reloading a weapon and just being traded out in the process here. But N9 and WQ, the 2-on-3, very likely could go their way. We've seen it in the past, especially with N9's performance today. He's been pretty strong on the aim duels so far. Yusuf caught behind the missile here, has to be careful. Already spotted, N9 finds one, looking for the double. Snake trying to find a way into this shot. But he actually manages to take down WQ. N9 left in a 1v2. Surely this should be one for Anubis, but N9 trying to stall it out. Not going to happen though. Snake picks up 3 kills on the round for his team, showing a little bit of sign of life here, but could be too little too late.
Yeah, N9 just not quite able to calibrate the aim there in the 2v1. There was ample opportunities to find the head of a couple of those Anubis players. Now things change up a little for Anubis though. They're going much quicker in toward mid, but Super Valiant very aware of it. N9 just sets himself up like a turret. And Yazi is the little baby turret next to him that helps out. Very nicely done from Super Valiant. A super clean round to put them on map point. And that has gone right back in the face of Anubis. They tried something different. They tried to catch Super Valiant off guard, but as is generally the case against World Championship caliber teams, it tends not to go too well.
Snare, however, will get the opening pick here, but they need a whole lot more than that at this point. 6 straight rounds, and that's just to take this one into overtime and potentially still fall at that. So the 5-on-4, only just the beginning here. Yazi looking for the potential pick over towards this A bomb site. Yusuf playing on the back of the staircase, waiting to see if someone will challenge here. N9 looks pretty eager to go into this one. Yazi right behind him. They're going to go for the dual peek here and clear him out. Yusuf finds one. It's going to be traded out pretty quickly here by Yazi, though. Holding on very nicely. Spots another player, though, on the bottom of A and has to back off, making the smart decisions, even though they do have the advantage here. Snake, it's going to be 1 and done as well. 2-on-3 situation now. Anubis, they do have the numbers, but we'll see if they can take down Yazi and Formy.
Yazi's been a bit of a terror in this second half, continuing from the first, and there's a very clean shot out of him with the Orm. So back to that 2v2. It's just the explosion of the individual power that Super Valiant have. That's how I would really characterize this game of sub-base. Just think Anubis as individuals have been outclassed. But for me and Yazi will look to push forward, and so too will the Anubis players. Monkey and Hassam are taking an expedition through the attacker's spawn. Doesn't really help them too much. It's still going to be a very long rotate actually into the B site here, so it's going to cost them a little bit of time, and also give Super Valiant plenty of time to find good post plants. Yazi's got a great angle here with the Orm to play with. Formy's there for the trade, so this will be dangerous. Monkey, however, just cleans up Yazi, and it's on to Formy now. 1 versus 2. Monkey's done well there. Might as well have done it himself.
Very clean retake coming out on this one, but still They need 5 more rounds in a row in order to tie us up here and take it into an overtime situation. Super Valiant, surely not a team that will let this one slip, but only time will tell if there's anything left in the tank for Anubis to actually pull through and make this dream a reality. They fought hard to get to these quarterfinals. They still have to prove themselves here in order to take it on and move to the next stage. Snare gets the opening once again, having pretty consistent success here at the start of round, but they have to be able to close out around it now.
Barbecue, nicely done onto Hassan, brings it back to a 4v4, and Snare works his way through the smoke, catches N9, who wasn't expecting it. Back to square one now for Super Valiant, who have players all over the place. Snake gets caught with a grenade out in his hands, and that is not what you want to see. Not at all. Gives Formy ample opportunity almost to double down there, but Monkey just too much to deal with.
Now Youssef going to be isolated here on the bottom of A. Dabaqu and Yazi looking to go in for the challenge, but the rotation is starting to come through here. Monkey close by for the support now. We'll come down to the 2v2 on site. Dabaqu finds the double kill very quickly, and now it's all going to be on Snare. The fate of the map in his hands. Otherwise, it will be SV holding on here. Yazi, the nice flashbang over the top, won't actually connect onto Snare. He's already snuck in a bit too deep. Yazi will be spotted on the backside of site, but that gun change completely gives him away, and Snare will be taken down 10-4 on map number 1. SV looking very primed to take this series so far.
Well, Anubis, the team named after the Egyptian god of dead, seem to be dead in the water right now, Elfish Guy. It's not so great for them at all. Super Valiant Gaming certainly appearing to turn up there on sub-base, and a pretty quick game done and dusted there for the champions of old.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit different, I suppose, for Anubis going up against a team like Super Valiant. It might be a little bit more than what they're used to. And yeah, they have faced Super Valiant a couple times in the past. We saw them at the Egypt Invitational playing against Super Valiant, having not too bad of a time, but they did still consequently lose that match. So, look, it's just a whole different ballgame for a team like Anubis, isn't it? And it's really hard to expect that they're going to be able to step up in a match like this, even despite the good Crossfire that we've seen them play at this event so far. It just feels like Super Valiant's kind of hit that next level. They've kind of kicked things into gear a little bit. And while I wouldn't say it's the team that is going to win this year, it is definitely a team that looks like they deserve to be in the semi-finals.
Well, they're doing what they need to do right now to make sure, Kyle, that they're in with a shot to be able to win this year. Now, if we go back and look at the teams, Yahtzee, both halves looking very, very strong there for Super Valiant.
Yeah, and I know I question his abilities going into this game, but he's definitely stepped up to the plate. But you also have to wonder if it's just Anubis playing a little bit below what we expected as well, and if he can actually continue this moving forward, or maybe he just had a good map here.
Yeah, that is the question. We'll see how this plays out in the second map in the best of 3. Jordan, if we talk about Anubis, Hassam really failing to turn up in either half, only picking up a couple of frags. Snake, the only one from the team really seeming to pop off. Let's head across to the next map here. It's going to be a Black Widow. Super Valiant Gaming looking to lock this one down and progress through to the semis against the Black Dragons. Anubis fighting to stay in CFS 2019.
And Black Widow will be a scary prospect as well for Anubis, who did lose to Baisha on this map yesterday, picking up only the 4 rounds. Super Valiant, we are yet to see have too many problems on it as well after getting a 10-7 over Golden 5. Anubis, however, have brought a different brand of Crossfire into this map than what we saw on sub-base. It is much quicker indeed, and that is just an absolute decimation of Super Valiant in the first round. I mean, I was just trying to sort of ramp up there. I was trying to build a bit of a storyline, and all of a sudden, round one's over.
I think for Anubis, though, that's exactly what they needed to do here. They needed to show SV that it's not over just yet, and they come out with a really aggressive opening round, giving 0 kills up to their opponents. And Snare, he's going to continue that momentum forward. Emzen already taken out of the picture as he picks up frag number 3 for himself already in this first half.
Maybe we do have a game on our hands. Let's see if Anubis can keep things interesting here. Not a bad start into the second round either. So far, everyone on Super Valiant lacking a kill. But Anubis have slowed down quite substantially in this one. Still a bit more presence over to the B side of the map than anything else, but Anubis are kind of keeping things a little bit spicy in mid as well, making sure there's no rotations from the Super Valiant players out of long as well. You got a player waiting to collect the C4. For Anubis, it really seems like a preparation phase. They're just building into this round. Sooner or later, they're going to have to execute.
The tough part for SV, though, they only have Formy here on the B-bomb site, and he's taken out already. It's going to be a 5-on-3. Things looking good for Anubis once again to get this bomb down and potentially win another round here. Yazi taken out of the picture as well as Hassam picks himself up another one here. And 9 and Dabaqu now left in a 2-on-5 as the bomb goes down.
This will be a tough one for N9 and Dabaqu, of course. And now even worse for N9. So, again, not a single kill from Super Valiant, unless N9 gets one here, but in a 1v5, even if he does get 1 or 2, it's not going to matter. There's 2. So finally, at least Super Valiant's kind of off the mark, but realistically speaking, it's kind of like they've run out and they've sort of tripped over the first hurdle, and they're only just now kind of trying to get back up off the ground. Meanwhile, Anubis is kind of just stamping on their head, continuing to put as much pressure on as they can while they have this advantage, and I think that is imperative for Anubis. Do not give Super Valiant the opportunity to get back into this before they really deserve it.
And that is the key. We'll see if they can hold on to this early lead, but it's just a small lead at that, only 2-0 up. And they have a lot more work left to be done here on map number 2. If they want any hopes of approaching map number 3, it's going to be the bomb already rotating here over towards B, favoring this site take once again, and yet we still see Super Valiant only playing 1 player on the B bomb site. They do slowly rotate 1 as well. It's going to be 2 now on this side as Dabaqu comes in for the support, but it's going to be 2 players working their way out of mid, potentially here for Anubis, as Monkey looks to take the challenge here over towards Emzen.
Monkey gets the timing right there, and inevitably does run into Yazi. Some good trades coming out from Super Valiant. This is looking a little bit better for the Chinese squad, but maybe I speak too soon. Yusuf, Stare, Hassam, all finding entries onto the B site. And N9 gives away his position as well. Really wanted that free kill. Could have put him in a good position. In a better position, but in a 3v1. Snare's looking pretty good here on Black Widow, and that's dangerous times for Super Valiant. When your sniper is having a good time on this map, they can be quite an oppressive force.
Right now, we look to see if it can continue strong here for Anubis, and so far it seems to be the case, as Formy once again goes down without a fight here over towards the B-bomb site, sitting at 0-4 so far in this second map, along with Dabaqu yet to put a frag on the table. Meanwhile, Anubis all fragging across the board here, at least 2 frags in every player's hands. Now we'll see if anything they can do on SV might find an answer back here. They have a lot of aggression here in mid, though. N9 pushing all the way up short.
Super Valiant will make their way over to long. Or Anubis will. Super Valiant probably want to do that as well. They might have a better chance of defending things if they do. Emzen's watching. Hasn't had the greatest of games so far here. And will have to do something special to hold off this kind of an offensive. Misses the shot. Dabaqu did get 1. But that's not enough to stop this offensive from Anubis. And this really does seem to be fitting the mold for a Black Widow. We'll talk about that in a second, though, as N9 and Dabaqu might well have found a situation they can clutch. N9, Dabaqu, and a 2v4 for Super Valiant to get them on the board here on Black Widow. is exactly what the doctor ordered, and sort of goes against what I was going to say just before with almost every time I've cast Black Widow, the team on the attack gotten off to like a 4-0 lead. And then they haven't won any rounds since then. So maybe that's the tipping point. Maybe that's the point now where Super Valiant is just going to shut things out. We'll see.
And that is one of the things Anubis needs to consider here. This map definitely does tend to favor the attacking side overall, so they need more than just a close half here. They need a confident victory in the first half if they want any hope of taking this map overall away from SV. So far in this round, it's a lot of aggression in mid coming out from Anubis Gaming, but still no pick just yet. But a lot of damage being dealt onto Emzen here.
It's good to see Super Valiant with 5 players alive at least. It is a nice change up from the norm. And N9 does like to do this. He likes to hide behind these boxes on long. Doesn't generally push too much further past this. But it's good information nonetheless for Super Valiant.
Potential duel here over towards the blacklist spawn. It's going to be N9 and Monkey both playing the waiting game here, but Snare sneaks up, takes down Yazi, and he has almost full control over A, but Dabaku shuts it down very quickly, goes for the window peek, but here comes the explosive play over towards the B bomb site. Emzen, the only one to try and hold this off for me, comes in to try and stall on the cross, and just like that, SV, they've collapsed in perfectly here. 2 players already down. Hassam and Yusuf stuck behind the boxes in the back corner of sight. It's just not going to happen for them. And SV find themselves yet another round.
Great read from Super Valiant, having the players exactly where they needed to be. Maybe Anubis just a little bit slow on the uptake there as well. After they lose the player on A, they just need to smash their way into B. And maybe the timing would have been right there with Emzen on his own, but they gave Super Valiant just a little bit too much room to rotate. And now it sort of feels like they've given Super Valiant just a little bit too much room in this first half, as you can really see the Chinese squad starting to ramp up the pace, ramp up their power here as well. And they're starting to look more and more foreboding, very similar to what occurred on Subbase.
The only downside I've noticed so far for SV is we said that it may have been a one-off of Yazi stepping up, and so far it seems to be the case. He's only got 1 frag in 6 rounds here on Black Widow so far, so definitely one of the players who needs to see the impact that he saw in map number 1 here for me as well. Still at 0 and 4. Both of these guys looking to try and step it up and close out the series 2-0. Here comes the fight on A long though. Yazi finds one as N9 goes down, but it still remains an even fight here.
Fair bit of time for Anubis to work with as well. So much information on long, though, for Super Valiant. If they can keep control of long and have a player defending short, this is going to be a tough offensive for Anubis. WQ waits, Yazi waits as well, and the peak does come there from Yazi, but it's actually Formy that collects one before being traded out. But the players were in such good positions for Super Valiant that there was never really much of a chance for Anubis, unfortunately, in attacking that bomb site. So straight away, we're back to 3 apiece. And Super Valiant have equalized.
Anubis going to their first round strat once again. It's going to be a full quick execution here over towards the B bomb site. Formy and Emzen, the only players pretty close by to respond. So we'll see if it works out once again for them. This time around though, SV, they are prepared. Hassam finally answers back with the double kill, but they still have control of the site now in their hands. Monkey able to plant this bomb, but SV in position, all ready to start this retake.
Yeah, very quick rotate again from Super Valiant. They've gone as a bit of a wolf pack, and Snare seems to be in a good position to perhaps deal with this, because Super Valiant are pushing their way through this area rather than coming through mid. So Snare will have some prospects ahead of him, but N9 just shuts that down quick smart. Hassam will take the peak, double spray down, oh my word! Hassam just sweeps them aside. And Anubis get another round on the board. They take the lead again.
And that will be a big shift back in their favor here now. They definitely needed that round to get things back in pace for themselves here on Anubis. They still need to win this half and get a comfortable lead for themselves going to that second half. But N9 looks to put a stop to this. Takes down Hassam early, punishing him for that 3K in the last round.
Super satisfying there from N9 hitting the headshot so cleanly like that, particularly against Hassam, who has been a real power player for Anubis in this game. It's been some pause for thought now for Anubis as they slow things down quite substantially. Monkey with the Orm, just peeking down mid, still waiting up towards the attacker's spawn for anything to happen that he can gather the C4 and join his teammates. N9 again on the move. Yeah, this is so scary for Anubis when N9 starts to feel confident, but he immediately does get shut down by Snake, and that's nice. Nice to see for Anubis. Does put some more wind back in their sails.
Snare, though, getting a little bit baited onto this attack. He's going to go down to it, falls for it completely there as Formy will be the one to shut him down here. 4-on-3 now, SV with the advantage. And it's going to leave the rest of Anubis here to try and force their way up onto the catwalk position. But there's only one player here. It's Yazi. He has to hold this all by himself. Yusef and Monkey push through and take him down with a nice nade kill there. 3-on-3 as the bomb will be planted. But SV already quickly rotating once again.
Tried to buy as much time as possible. You could see there Yazi as he danced around the box, but Anubis knew what they needed to do, and that was to take control of the bomb site as quickly as possible. Good post plants here for the attacking side. Anubis with the player on long. That's Snake. Emsen, however, will catch him off and continues the push forward, but there's plenty more damage possibly done here by Yusuf, who survives. Low on HP, but Formy gets a double. And Super Valiant again find themselves another defensive round, and that is just another premium round in the back pocket for them.
Anubis, though, still with the opportunity to take the first half in their favor here, 5-4, if they're able to pick this one up. Looks like they will be going back to some of their old tricks here over towards the B-bomb site this time around, though they will leave Monkey to hold off the A-long push. Snare in the top of mid, looking for some sort of pick to start off this round. But it's actually going to be N9, who's already pushed out behind them. They have no idea just yet, but Monkey, still holding the passive angle, will take him down.
That's really greedy from N9 to push that hard that early in the round. You have to expect that Anubis will have a player watching for it, and of course they do. So that puts the rest of Super Valiant in a bit of a spot of bother. But Emsen's posted on a good line here. Grenade might do some good solid damage. Doesn't quite go far enough. But surely Emsen gets one from this position and is able to fall for a second opportunity.
Anubis, though, a lot of hesitation here on the push. Emsen, though, second guesses his angle and actually moves to hold this long A position, and now they've snuck up on him. They have no way to push through. Emsen somehow still alive here, though. Hassam cannot connect the spray here to transfer behind him, and he actually escapes with his life. And that Om in hand. Hassam, though, hunted down here by Dabaku, but Hassam, he still hits the shots. Emsen and Formy now left in a difficult position here. Formy finds one, but Emsen is taken down by Monkey. 1v3, not going to happen, and Monkey finds another as well.
Big round for Anubis as we head into the second half. 5-4. Is it enough against the powerhouse Super Valiant? I don't know, but we'll find out. Well, Super Valiant move on to the attack, which is the more favourable side here on Black Widow, but Snare already trying to exert some pressure by pushing out into mid. Seems Emsen has gotten onto that pretty quickly, so Anubis not getting up to too many shenanigans. N9, however, is as he pushes his way into the B site. Hassam's been spotted, and he is being cyberbullied by Super Valiant. Inevitably will fall. It's at the cost of a trade for Snare, and Yusuf through the smoke. That's big onto Formy. That keeps it alive for Anubis.
Formy moving into that position with the bomb as well. Very risky for his team. Fortunately, though, they will recover this one, get the plant. Now Anubis left to try and retake this one here. Monkey already in a good position to potentially catch these rotators off guard, but Dabaku wants to take the fight. Takes him down here. Yusuf and Snare now trying to sneak their way in. Snare is coming all the way from the blacklist spawn. We'll see if Dabaku's ready for his positioning. He's not gonna be. Snare takes him down, but Yusuf will be taken down as well here. Emzen finds one. It's all on Snare. 1v2, 13 seconds. Has almost no time to hesitate here. Has to push in now, but it's gonna be Emzen who takes him out and puts another one on the board, and SV immediately tie us off at the start of this half.
Yeah, that was going to be a super rough one for Snare any day of the week. He really needed a rifle there rather than the Orm, but even with a rifle and about 5 seconds to play with, it was not going to be too easy at all. Emzen this time has a peek on long, but he's late. Monkey gets there first, and Monkey punishes him for his transgressions. Super Valiant to start the round off 4v5.
Anubis now with a nice opportunity to take the lead right back into their hands and potentially build some momentum here on this second half. But SV, a team you really need to be cautious of, even when they have the numbers against them. They have a lot of fight in them to bring it back. So SV looking to try and split their way over towards A, but Snare catches N9 in mid. That is a big pick going the way of Anubis here. 3-on-5 now as they try and force the bomb up the catwalk here. They leave one player lurking. It's going to be Dabaku, working his way out A long, but here comes the pressure. Monkey holding off this position, but it's not going to matter. Yazi finds his way in. Yusuf goes down without a fight. And now they have full control of the site. Dabaku can just wait here.
Oh no. I was going to say, if Monkey doesn't get the timing right here and Dabaku finishes him off, that is the perfect entry to the A site that Super Valiant was looking for. And now they possess not only control of short, but also of long, which makes the retake tenfold more difficult here for Anubis. Snare's hoping that someone's going to peek into his sight line, but that's just not realistic. They're going to have to put the onus back onto Anubis here as they make their way forward. Not a lot of time to work with, though, now for Anubis. They have to get a wriggle on.
Snake looking for the initial pick here for me, though, playing this one so patiently. There's almost no time to get the defuse, even if Anubis somehow gets all of these kills. Snake and Snare find their way into it. He just has enough time. 6 seconds on the clock. It's only 4 to defuse, and he will get it just in time here. Barely sliding by with the round victory.
That's a little bit questionable for Super Valiant. I think you could have waited for those players to come and push you rather than try and face in as many of those angels as they did. Either way, it's another round on the board for Anubis, and that's what matters. That's what everyone will remember. But it's not enough work done yet by Anubis to force us through to a third map. Ankara would be the third map. And that's not a bad one for Anubis, if they can get there. So far they're going toe-to-toe with Super Valiant here on Black Widow. But you do sense that Super Valiant has something left in the back pocket. Let's see what that is. Is it going to be this play up short? Big stack of players from Super Valiant making their way in this direction, and one player out long already. So not bad control here for the attacking team. And only the one player really to contest on this bomb site. That's Snare. The flash is coming on through. N9 just gets deleted. Yazi, though, will get the trade. And that's not a bad scenario for Super Valiant at all now, especially that Emzen is watching the rotate in mid here. Should get a free one onto Yusuf and will, but traded out by Snake. 3v3 for the retake. Anubis have already picked one of these up.
Aggressive here in the window, still manages to hit that headshot onto Monkey. Snake and Hassam looking to try and bring this one back, but they're both isolated here under the catwalk. They're going to be sprayed down completely as Dabaku and Yazi clean this one up and bring us back to a tie.
Feels like a broken record, really, doesn't it? Continuing to come backwards and forwards, back to a tie again for Super Valiant, but are they going to be able to find that break point? The couple in a row that they'd need to finish this map off in their favor. How long can Anubis hang on for? Or is it Anubis that's hanging on? Maybe it's Super Valiant hanging on in the second map here. Either way, a lot of presence in mid this time from Anubis. But Super Valiant, their spider sensors are tingling somewhat.
Yusuf definitely needs to be the one to make the impact here, but he's going to go down without a fight. the complete control of A site rests in the hands of Snare now. He's the only one who can hold on here, and even he is nowhere near defensive in this position. It's not going to happen. Monkey on the flank. He has to try and clean this one up now. 3-on-4, the bomb will go down, but Monkey, he has to wait for his teammates now here to retake.
All too familiar situation for Anubis as they try to rotate through mid. This time WQ, not Emzen, but the result is still the same. Another player falls and Anubis have an even more difficult retake on the A site. This time Monkey only able to get one, and that may well be the break point I was talking about. Super Valiant have put two together. Super Valiant are now the ones that push into the lead, and Super Valiant are now the ones that feel as though they can close this series out. Anubis have to dig deep now.
WQ will go down early here. Monkey having some decent success here on these A-long aggressive plays. Snake finds one on the B-bomb side as well. And Super Valiant are forced into a difficult position here, but they're going to try and force their way in towards this B-bomb site. Yazi takes down one. The smoke screen blocks off the rotation in, and even though they don't have the advantage of players on their side, SV has full control of the B-bomb site. For me, takes down Snare on the flank, and somehow, someway, this is completely falling apart for Anubis.
It's just an all too familiar situation, isn't it? Anubis not being able to close out leads, and this round may well be a metaphor for entire maps that we've seen from Anubis at this tournament. The pressure really is on now in the quarterfinals. Super Valiant, one of the best teams in the world, putting them under the pump. Emzen will face, and it's Yusuf that falls finally, but all three players of Anubis go down without too much of a fight. Super Valiant march towards 8, and they get ever closer to a semi-finals place against Black Dragons.
Anubis, this is their last effort here on the map. They have to try and bring this one back to a tie, and they have to win out to take it in regulation as well if they want to make that happen. Hassam, though, but quiet one here for Anubis. Only one frag on the entirety of this map so far. If anyone needs to step up now more than ever, it's him. He hasn't been the impact player we've seen in the past maps from him. Meanwhile, SV, though, taking full control of mid. Anubis turtling up here towards the A-bomb site, playing extremely careful on this one.
Much different setup from Anubis, isn't it? A big stack toward the A side. To be fair, that is where Super Valiant have been having a lot of success. I think Anubis need to be looking to maybe enable Snare earlier in the rounds here with the Orm. If you let Super Valiant onto the bomb site, chances are that round is already lost, as we've seen historically speaking. They're very good at holding off those retakes. Snare can't find the kill onto WQ on the cross, who was baiting for Emson. But no kill comes of it as Snare just decides to back away, play a different line. Emson not too interested in challenging this time. N9, though, catches Monkey through the mid doors. Another advantage for Super Valiant to play with.
Here we see potential aggressive play here up the catwalk. Snare trying to get into position here to find himself a pick, but has to back off. He doesn't want to give up yet another advantage here over to SV. And will move to the passive angle here on A-long. WQ, though, he may just challenge it all by himself here. Has no fear. The rest of his team pushing up short. N9 will go down, but WQ peeks out long to take down Snare. Now they have full control of the A-bomb side. 4-on-3, and the bomb will go down.
That's not a good sign for Anubis. For the reasons already mentioned, Yazi and Yusuf will go backwards and forwards here on short, but inevitably it is Yazi who will step up with the advantage. Hassam dodges a bullet, dodges even a couple more, and Emson will fall. But I don't think that's enough to get excited about for Anubis. Snake with 18 seconds, a 1v3, and nothing but a dream here, really. WQ spots him out and will relay the information to the remaining Super Valiant players. And now we find ourselves at match point. Super Valiant, the team with the favor. And Anubis 3 to bring back to take us to overtime.
Anubis here in a tie-or-die situation. Meanwhile, SV looking at their sights potentially on the grand finals here. But first, it all starts with securing this quarterfinal victory. And they have 3 match point opportunities to do so. And surely they should be able to close it out here. But Anubis, this is their fight for survival here in CFS. We'll see if they can make something of it. SV looking to take this one over towards the B bomb site. Anubis playing very aggressive in mid. 3 players sitting towards B connector. It's all going to be on SV to see where they want to take their first move here, whether they will challenge or potentially just fall back and go in towards this A execution they've been pretty favorable of. And they may have an opportunity at it. There's only 1 player directly defending the A bomb site, but there's a lot of mid control that it looks like SV is going to go ahead and contest here.
Yeah, they're walking right into the trap, but who is the trap for? Is it for Super Valiant, or is it for Anubis? Yusuf, he doesn't hold on to that spray well enough to get 2, which he really should have been able to do. And that is going to mean the A site is in control of Super Valiant. Emzen through the double doors. Doesn't quite finish off Hassan, but does enough to make it easy for WQ. And Snake in a 1v3, an all too familiar situation for Anubis players. Very disadvantageous, but Snake is hanging on for dear life here for Anubis. He's out onto the bomb site, catches for me. WQ and Yazi left to find as he works his way down the catwalk, looking at short, but there's no one there. And WQ reminds him of that fact. 12 seconds now and he has to sit on the bomb, but WQ knows it, Yazi knows it, and that will be the round, that will be the map, and that will be the series for Super Valiant to put them through to a semi-final rematch against Black Dragons once again here at Crossfire Stars.